Two correction officers are in critical condition after a shooting at a jail in Fresno, California. Will Carr has the breaking details from our West Coast Bureau. Hi, Will. What's happening there?
Hey there, Laura. Well, this happened early this morning. What we know from authorities is that a man walked into the lobby of the jail there, an area where anybody can walk in off of the streets, and that he started shooting. Two correctional officers were shot. Both were raced to a local hospital there in Fresno, where we're told both remain in critical condition, a man and a woman. At this point, it's unclear if they were being targeted or they were simply caught in the crossfire here. What we do know is there was a massive response. Police officers from all across the city raced to the jail when the shots were being fired here. We have some of the scanner traffic that took place in the minutes after the shooting. Take a listen.
Special 1, all units be advised. Have an active shooter, 1225 M Street. Officer down.
First responders remaining very calm during the scanner traffic there. Many going to the scene. We do know that the shooter was taken into custody. Again, the motivation unclear right now. Laura, we're anticipating that there's going to be a press conference in the next couple of minutes, and we're hoping to get a lot more information. Laura.
All right, Will Carr for us in our West Coast newsroom. Keep us up to speed.
Well, tonight the Mid-Atlantic is getting hammered by Hermine. The storm is rumbling up the coast, washing out holiday weekend plans from the Carolinas to New England. It's unleashing heavy rain, damaging winds, and dangerous seas. A second person was killed by the storm in North Carolina on Saturday. Mark Strassman is in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Tropical storm Hermine soaked parts of Virginia and North Carolina for much of the day, triggering flash flood watches. Overnight, the storm toppled trees in Carthage, North Carolina, a 3-hour drive from the coast. Heavy rain and wind whipped through Charleston, South Carolina, and that's where the storm damaged many homes, including that of 90-year-old Jean Nelson.
I heard this crash, and I thought, what is that? And it sounded like dishes falling.
Further north, Hermine flooded the town of Atlantic Beach, North Carolina, causing at least one major car accident. The storm made landfall in Florida early Friday as a Category 1 hurricane, the first to hit the state since 2005. Storm surges flooded entire neighborhoods, including this one in Tampa, and knocked out power for more than 300,000 people. Florida Governor Rick Scott.
I expect every city and county official to aggressively fix that problem. We have got to get people their power back.
On Skidaway Island in Savannah, Georgia, the storm caused a possible tornado strike that damaged a dozen homes.
It looks like a big mower just came through and mowed down the trees.
As Hermine continues north, the storm is washing out Labor Day weekend plans for many. On the Jersey Shore today, beachgoers had to bundle up.
Covered in blankets, towels, sweatshirt, anything you can get that'll actually stay.
Hermine is expected to linger off the coast of New Jersey for several days, potentially causing worse erosion than during Superstorm Sandy 4 years ago. And DeMarco, New Yorkers have been banned from swimming at city beaches. The most dangerous riptides seen in a century are possible.
Mark Strassman, thank you.
Time now for Morning Rounds with CBS News contributors Dr. Tara Narula and Dr. David Agus, who joins us from Los Angeles. First up, the continuing battle against the Zika virus. For now, the Zika hot zone remains in 2 popular Miami neighborhoods. But the fear reaches far outside southern Florida. And this week, the CDC said it is almost out of funds to fight Zika, having spent roughly $194 million of the $222 million allocated. Tara, Congress gets back to session next week. If they don't allocate more funds, what happens?
The implications of this are really frightening, Anthony. I mean, the organization that's meant to protect our country against disease and epidemic is saying that the cupboard is bare. There's no more money. Lack of funds means that we cannot work on diagnostics, vaccines. We can't further study the virus itself and its effects on pregnant women and newborns. We can't control the mosquitoes. And what about other states besides Florida that may be affected in the future, like Texas and Louisiana? The CDC is saying they may not have resources and supplies to send to those states. And the bigger picture is really that this is not just an issue about right now. The decisions that Congress makes or doesn't make now are going to have ramifications for the next 10, 20, 30 years as we see more infants born with microcephaly and other consequences of the virus.
Dr. David Agus, as soon as we hear about the need for money, we also hear about the need for more research. But what is the latest right now? What are we finding out about the disease?
Well, this week came a very important finding, and that is that the mosquito, remember, women are the ones who bite. Women can transmit Zika virus to their eggs. And so what that means is if we get rid of all the adults and spray, those eggs can still spread the Zika virus. And it's especially notable this week because we are spraying for adults, and what we've noticed is that honeybees are being killed by the millions with that same spray. So we need to find better ways to get the adults and also these eggs. The science exists, we have to implement it.
Tara, a Pennsylvania drug company announced this week it's starting its second human clinical study of the Zika vaccine. How promising is this trial?
The amazing part of this is that Zika virus vaccines was not really on anybody's radar until about January of 2016. And since then, it's been a very quick race for academic institutions, the government, and other companies to get something out there. The World Health Organization says that there's about 30 vaccines in progress in terms of different research status. But there are two, as you mentioned, one from a Pennsylvania company and one with the NIH that are currently being tested in humans. They're looking for safety, tolerability, and the effects on the immune system. They hope to have preliminary data by 2017, and if in fact it looks promising, and then by 2018 would be the first time that we would really be seeing a vaccine available.
So it's still 2 years off.
Exactly.
At the best.
Now to the ongoing fight over vaccinating children for life-threatening diseases. For most families around the country, getting kids vaccinated is routine, vital protection for their long-term health. But some parents believe vaccines are unneeded, even harmful, and the number who refuse vaccinations is rising. A survey by the American Academy of Pediatricians found that 10 years ago, in 2006, 3/4 of pediatricians reported at least some parental vaccine refusals. But by 2013, that number had grown to 87%. David, I've heard from other mothers a fear of a possible link between autism and these vaccines. What are the primary reasons people are not doing this?
Well, the autism was an explanation for a lot of years, and I think the good is it's going out of favor. There is no association. It's been definitively proven between vaccines and autism. Now parents are saying, hey, listen, these diseases that we're vaccinating against, they don't happen anymore. So why does my kid even need the vaccine? And certainly these diseases are happening. We saw the measles outbreak in Disneyland earlier or last year. And so we need to pay attention here. We need to educate and have leadership so that children can be saved from these horrible diseases.
Tara, when a conversation is this controversial, how do you guide it?
Absolutely. It is a tough topic, but it's so important because so many parents get their information from social media and media. And the pediatrician can really serve as an educator, as David mentioned. The conversation can be difficult, but you need to start by building an open dialogue, a relationship of trust, and one that starts maybe from the initial prenatal visit where pediatricians and patients can have this discussion about vaccines. And really to get the idea that they're on the same team. The pediatrician and the parents both want what's best for the health of the child. The pediatrician needs to be clear about saying that vaccines are safe and effective, talking about why we immunize and what the risks are for lack of immunization. They need to be non-confrontational, patient, and respectful of the parents' concerns, address those concerns, and correct any misconceptions. And then finally, one of the things that's been shown to work is by personalizing their advice. For instance, the pediatrician telling the parent, you know what, I vaccinated my own kids, as I did this past week, or talking about stories of patients they may have managed who didn't get vaccinations and ended up with serious consequences.
You hear those stories quite often, also, sadly.
Right.
All right, so David, your home state of California has one of the nation's toughest vaccine laws, specifically known as Senate Bill 277. What exactly does the law say?
So about a year ago, the California legislature stepped up and said every child needs to be vaccinated before they go to school. And no longer can you have belief exemptions. So a physician can give an exemption based on a medical reason, which are rare, but now it's mandated children need to be vaccinated. There was a lot of pushback. In fact, some parents are keeping their kids home from school and homeschooling so they don't have to go through this. But at the same time, we were able to step up. There were 20% of some neighborhoods in California where kids weren't being vaccinated. And so obviously that's a major public health issue, as well as an issue for the child. But now there's a change in California. The very strong laws having an effect where vaccination rates are going up.
All right, finally, man's best friend. Many dog owners feel a special bond with their four-legged family members, and a new study in the journal Science suggests your canine friend might understand more than you think. Researchers found that dogs process both what we say and how we say it, which is actually similar to how human brains work.
One of the great things about this study is they didn't have to drug or sedate the dogs in order to study their brains, and I think that's great for every dog lover.
Yeah,
to hear about research
not only do they sometimes look like the owner, they also think like the owner at times as well. Doctors Tara Narula and Dr. David Agus in Los Angeles, thank you both.
Pilots from Pakistan, UAE and Israel Air Forces took part in a 2-week-long joint military exercise in the U.S. state of Nevada. This was the first time that Israel Air Force participated in an Air Force drill with Muslim countries with which it has no diplomatic ties. Many opposition figures, including senior leader of Jamaat-e-Islami, voiced concern over Pakistan's joint military exercise with Israel.
The founder of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, declared Israel as illegitimate over its occupation of Palestine. This policy has been pursued by all governments in Pakistan so far, and no government established diplomatic ties with Israel. This policy must now be implemented in every manner.
Let me clarify, there has been no joint exercises between Pakistan and Israel. The host country was the United States of America. Pakistan's stand is very much clear. We have no diplomatic relations with Israel. The host has to decide how the two countries have to interact. We did not interact practically with the Israelis. Our crew was very much clear on this SOP.
It is not that unusual to witness protests in Pakistan against Israel. People here carry a strong sense of solidarity with the suppressed Palestinians under Israeli occupation. Pakistani people dislike Israel because of its large-scale atrocities against unarmed Palestinians over the course of decades, and it has been consistent public pressure which never allowed any government to establish diplomatic relations with Israel despite secret ties in the past. Javed Rana, Press TV, Islamabad.
Almost every day, Israeli troops raid West Bank areas to arrest Palestinians. On Friday, Israeli soldiers and undercover units invaded the Balata refugee camp east of the city of Nablus and arrested 2 men. Another Palestinian was also injured after he was hit by the Israelis' military vehicle. Israeli arrest operations have been on the rise in recent weeks. In August alone, 516 Palestinians, including 73 children and 10 women, were arrested.
The ongoing arrests have led to an increase in the number of administrative detainees. Israel has adopted a new policy of arresting people to intimidate them or to intimidate others so that they don't take part in any acts against Israeli occupation.
Israeli atrocities, however, do not end here. Settlers' violence against Palestinians have significantly increased, especially in villages and towns that are close to Jewish settlements. A report by the UN Humanitarian Office shows that at least 2 incidents of settler violence against Palestinians are recorded every week.
The Israeli regime is a cabinet of illegal settlers, so we can expect violence by the settlers themselves. They want to push the Palestinian people out of their lands. This is why the settlers attack people and their farms.
Tel Aviv uses severe measures against Palestinian activists who take part in anti-settlement protests. Israeli forces threaten the protesters and warn about arresting all their family members unless they stop their protest and surrender themselves. Since the beginning of the popular uprising in October last year, Tel Aviv has been trying to say its aggressive measures against Palestinians were meant to head off violence. Palestinians, however, believe Israelis use any kind of a pretext to continue with their harsh crackdown against them. Mona Kandil for Press TV, Occupy Gaza.